Hi, I'm Jim Thane. This spring, I'm the writer-in-residence at the Apache Junction Public Library, and I also write a series of mystery novels set in the Phoenix area and featuring a Phoenix homicide detective named Sean Richardson. This is the fourth in a series of podcasts discussing some of the most entertaining mystery novels set in Arizona. First up today is a novel by John Schmierer titled Gravediggers Moon. At the center of the novel is Benjamin Holt, a partner in a law firm in Newport Beach, California. As the book opens, Holt gets devastating news when his wife, Susan, is diagnosed with breast cancer. Although the doctors insist that they've caught it in time and that Susan will need only minor surgery, this is, of course, never good news. Then, at a time when Holt should be tightly focused on his family situation, one of his firm's extremely wealthy clients, a man named Logan Bigelow, is killed when his private plane crashes on approach into O'Hare Airport in Chicago. Holt had just drawn an addendum to Bigelow's will, setting aside $10 million for an unnamed beneficiary. It turns out that 30 years earlier, Bigelow had a relationship outside of his marriage that produced an illegitimate daughter who was born in Phoenix. The baby was given up for adoption upon her birth. At the time, Bigelow refused to acknowledge either the relationship or the daughter for fear of hurting his wife. But Bigelow's wife has died a few months earlier, and since she is no longer alive to be hurt by the disclosure, Bigelow now wants to do the right thing and to provide for his daughter, assuming that she's still alive and that she can be found. The rest of Bigelow's fortune is going to a foundation that he has created, and if the daughter cannot be found, the $10 million will go to the foundation as well. This amendment to the will has happened so recently that Holt has not yet had an opportunity to brief his partners about it, and when they find out, they are very concerned. The foundation is one of the firm's biggest clients, and not surprisingly, the foundation will not be too happy about the prospect that they might be losing out on $10 million that they expected to get as a part of Bigelow's estate. The firm thus orders Holt to go to Phoenix and try to find either the daughter or some proof of the fact that she has died, and they make it clear that his job is on the line. Holt is now caught on the horns of a terrible dilemma. Naturally, he would prefer to remain by his wife's side until her surgery is over. But especially now, he can't afford to lose his job and his family's health insurance along with it. With little choice in the matter then, Holt flies to Phoenix, hoping that he can accomplish his mission and get back to his wife as quickly as possible. But the trail is very thin, and simply by asking questions about the girl's mother, Holt exposes his mission and himself to some very unsavory and dangerous characters. It quickly becomes apparent that the money at stake here is a lot more than $10 million, and as he digs deeper into the mystery, Holt will find himself in very grave danger. Benjamin Holt is a very sympathetic protagonist, and Schmierer captures perfectly the strain that he is under, squeezed between his family obligations on the one hand and the demands of his job on the other. The rest of the characters are also very well drawn, good guys and bad guys alike. Schmierer clearly knows the territory, and the settings in and around the Phoenix metro area are a strength of the book. The plot moves swiftly with lots of great twists and turns, and all in all, Gravediggers Moon is a very good read. Next up is a book by Elizabeth Gunn, Red Man Down. This is the fifth novel in Gunn's series featuring a Tucson homicide detective named Sarah Burke. Burke has an unconventional family life in that she lives with her boyfriend, who is also a cop, along with her mother and her niece. It's not a very common arrangement, but it seems to work for all of them, and it gives Sarah the support she needs to do a very difficult and demanding job. The book opens on a Saturday morning when Sarah's plans to go shopping with her niece are interrupted by a call to investigate an officer-involved shooting. A patrolman, relatively new to the force, has interrupted a burglary in process, and the perpetrator drew down on him. The patrolman acted instinctively, drew his own weapon, and fired 3 shots, killing the thief. It seems to be a perfectly straightforward case of a justifiable shooting. Video from the officer's dashboard camera clearly shows that the incident played out exactly as the patrolman has described it. But the detectives are shocked when they get a closer look at the victim and realize that it's an ex-cop named Ed Lacey. Lacey used to be a training officer and was known as the Red Man because of the red protective headgear that he wore while training recruits in hand-to-hand combat. As Sarah and the rest of the unit delve into the case, it seems clear that Ed Lacey's life had gone completely off the rails in the last couple of years, and that he ultimately committed suicide by cop. The spark that touched off this disaster came when the uncle who raised Lacey, and to whom he was devoted, committed suicide 2 years earlier after being accused of embezzling nearly $90,000 from the credit union where he worked. The uncle insisted that he was innocent, and Lacey supported him vehemently. The money was never recovered. What initially seems like a relatively simple situation then, thus quickly evolves into something much more sinister and complex. Sarah and the other detectives probe deeply into the lives of Ed Lacey and the members of his extended family, and the deeper they dig, the murkier and the more dangerous the case becomes. This is a very well-plotted book, and it moves swiftly along. It's billed as a Sarah Burke police procedural, and GUNN clearly knows her stuff. The police procedure is by the book and very believable. GUNN uses the Tucson setting to excellent advantage, and all in all, this is a very entertaining story. Let's turn next to a novel by Isabella Maldonado titled Death Blow. This is the 3rd book in Maldonado's series featuring Phoenix homicide detective Veranda Cruz, and it finds Cruz entangled with a vicious Mexican drug cartel headed by a man named Hector Villalobos. As a Phoenix cop, Veranda's professional and personal mission is to bring down the Villalobos cartel. For reasons that I won't give away, Villalobos wants Cruz dead, and he has assigned the task to his daughter, Daria. Daria is a deadly killer, an expert in explosives, and she is determined to succeed her father and become the first woman ever to lead a major Mexican drug cartel. Daria is in competition for the top job with 2 of her brothers, and she intends to kill Veranda Cruz in a spectacular fashion. She will thus remove the threat that Cruz poses to the cartel, and by doing so, she also hopes to impress her father and to convince him that she is the one who should succeed him. Veranda and Daria are both tough, strong-willed, beautiful, desirable women with excellent survival skills. Both also have trouble following orders, especially from their male supervisors, and their battle that plays out through this book is epic. This is a story filled with a lot of great action scenes that keep the reader turning the pages very quickly. Finally, I'd like to discuss a great collection of short stories edited by Patrick Milliken in a book titled Phoenix Noir. Milliken has recruited a very impressive array of crime fiction writers who have contributed stories to the book, including Lee Child, Don Winslow, Megan Abbott, John Talton, James Salas, and others. Some of these names will sound familiar, given that we've discussed their novels earlier in this series. These stories are set in various locations around the valley, from Glendale to Apache Junction, from downtown Phoenix to Paradise Valley, and elsewhere. Some of the stories are set in the present day, while others are set in the past. As the title implies, these are dark stories with flawed characters, few of whom are likely to come to a good end. And in reading the book, I was almost instantly reminded of the opening scene from Alfred Hitchcock's classic film, Psycho. If you know the movie, you may remember that as the opening titles fade away, the camera begins to pan slowly across the gray urban landscape of Phoenix, Arizona in the late 1950s. Finally, The camera selects a building and slowly zooms in through the window of a seedy hotel room. Janet Leigh lies on the bed, wearing only a white slip and bra, and before her lover, played by John Gavin, can even deliver the first line of dialogue, "You know damn well that nothing good can possibly come of this." Phoenix Noir captures perfectly that same sense of dread, suggesting that something may be terribly wrong at the core of this city. The stories are uniformly good and cut a broad swath through the Valley of the Sun, both in time and in space, showing readers a side of Phoenix that the Convention and Visitors Bureau would never dare feature in its glossy brochures. The stories are gritty, sexy, and violent, revealing the sordid underbelly of a city that is much better known these days for its sunshine and superficiality. Milliken's own story, Devil Doll, is among the best in the book, and the editor more than holds his own in the company of the better-known writers. Fans of noir fiction anywhere, but especially those who know the Phoenix area, will enjoy this collection immensely. That then concludes this series of podcasts on crime novels set in Arizona. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion, and if you're interested in pursuing the topic further, I've posted to the library's website a list of these and other crime novels set in the state. In the meantime, thanks for listening.